This is the toughest material to forge in Forged in Fire, the Nightmare Steel Billet. Not only is the forging process extremely difficult, even if you manage to forge it by luck, it may still fail miserably in the strength test. As soon as the competition starts, besides the devilish steel billets, the program team also brings out golf clubs. They require the contestants to use these steels, within 3 hours, to forge a distinctive short blade. After the competition begins, Nicholas springs into action first. Although the steel in front of him is tricky to handle, fortunately, he has a unique way to identify steel types. He leans down and licks the steel a few times. In an instant, he confirms that the golf club heads are mild steel. Paired with the high-quality steel billets, they are exactly the ideal materials for 3-in-1 lamination. So Nicholas immediately decides that he will use the 3-in-1 lamination technique to hammer out a Saxon knife. Just like Nicholas, Steve also decides to take on the 3-in-1 lamination technique. He plans to forge a practical camping knife. He processes the golf club heads and steel billets into blocks. Then he stacks them for 3-in-1 lamination. To ensure successful fusion, he even sprinkles flux on the welded steel billet. But somehow something goes wrong. In the next step, the fused 3-in-1 lamination actually cracks. Faced with this problem, Steve feels quite helpless, but the top priority right now is to figure out a way to remedy it as soon as possible. Similar to the first 2 contestants forging ideas, Dustin also intends to show off his 3-in-1 lamination skills. He plans to forge a wide-bellied camping knife. He grabs the steel and bends it repeatedly. Through this rough and straightforward method, he quickly distinguishes between mild steel and high-carbon steel. He grinds the steel billets. After confirming there are no impurities, he then throws the steel billets directly into the furnace. Once the heating is done, Dustin places the steel under the hydraulic press. He starts forging and fusing. The only minor flaw is that during forging, the red-hot steel billet drops onto the ground. But it is not a big problem. It does not affect the next step of forging the blade shape. Unlike the 3 contestants who insist on challenging 3-in-1 lamination, Thor chooses a safer forging method. After all, showing off 3-in-1 lamination is certainly impressive, but failing miserably would be quite embarrassing. First, he uses a cutting machine to cut the golf clubs and steel billets. Then he stacks the cut steel pieces together. He shows off his multi-layer stacking technique for Damascus steel. An hour later, Dustin has successfully forged the blade shape. He is the first to finish the tang. Looking at the completed blade blank, Dustin suddenly realizes that the length of the blade does not meet the competition requirements. But he does not panic at all. He cuts 2 new pieces of mild steel and clads the tang with them, trying to extend the blade length. He welds the blade blank, adds some flux, puts it back into the furnace for secondary heating. Next comes a round of heavy hammering by hand. On the other side, Steve originally wants to sprinkle flux on the flawed steel billet and hammer it again. But no matter how he operates, the cracks on the blade blank still do not improve significantly. In desperation, he has to try grinding off the edge of the blade blank. With only 1 hour left, the other contestants all speed up their progress. Only the confident Nicholas takes it easy. He starts doing some gentle stretching exercises. After releasing his pressure, Nicholas continues to put the final touches on his blade blank. He drills a hole in the tang. After a round of hammering and chiseling, the blade shape is successfully completed. After finishing everything, Nicholas is the first to complete the quenching process. Right after that, after extending the blade length, Dustin also